Yo, what's going on YouTube? My name is SlapHappyGreen, coming at you like the back of the hand because we are back for day one. Well, day one results basically of ESL 1 Cologne 2016. Now, in case you guys didn't realize, Cologne did in fact start today, and I am here to keep you up to date with my opinions on day one as well as scores and, well, maybe not so much stats, but we'll worry about scores. So, obviously, of course, first day of majors starts with Group A, which is Astralis versus Dignitas in Game 1, and then CLG versus Gambit. The way I'm going to format this is, because I don't have group graphics, because I work, so I don't have time to do that kind of shit, and I couldn't find it online. What I'm basically going to do is I'm going to show you guys my opinion, team of the division for that day, and then just talk through about both games while that team is up there. So, for Group A, which, as I said, includes the two Danes, the Americans, and the Russians? I think it's the Russians. Unfortunately, on a losing side, but my team of Group A for today is CLG. And this one's probably going to give me a lot of grief, because like I said, they did lose. They actually went down 13-16 to Gambit Gaming. What map was that again? I do not remember. That was Dust 2. But yeah, they did end up going down to Gambit on Dust 2. But for reasons I will explain when I get to this game, for Group A, they were my team of the day. And trust me, we're going to talk a lot about this game. But first up, first match of the day, started at 5 a.m. my time this morning. Astralis versus Dignitas was up, was watching, was in front of this monitor, and just ready to go. So, Astralis versus Dignitas, Battle of the Danes, a lot of good stuff. You watch this game, you can obviously tell that these are two teams that really know one another well. I talked in my pre-tournament vid yesterday about the recent trade between these two teams, KGB going from Astralis to Dignitas, and KRB going from Dignitas to Astralis. Of course, one thing I neglected to mention yesterday is that KRB is actually not here at the major. He is actually unavailable and is being stood in for by Glaive. So kind of not necessarily the same reasons, but a similar situation as to what NIP had to deal with last major in Columbus, where Pyth was unable to get there due to visa issues, and so he was subbed into by the coach Threat. Obviously this isn't Navi's coach, which is Starks, subbing in for KRB, but same situation. It's not their normal proper five. A lot of good moments in this matchup for both sides. A lot of good rounds played. But for me, hugest thing about this game was the play of the stand. It was the play of Glaive. I mean, you look at how Threat performed for NIP at the previous major in Columbus. He had one pretty good outstanding performance. I do not remember who it was against. Where I think he broke 20 frags. Might have been slightly shy of it. Like I said, don't remember for sure. But other than that, a little bit of a mediocre tournament for him. Usually towards the bottom of the frag list for NIP during that tournament. Whereas, right off the bat here for Astralis against Dignitas, Glaive came up huge in this map. Now, Device was one of the biggest players in this game. A lot of clutch rounds, a lot of important frags for Device during both halves. But right behind him on the scoreboard, getting a lot of important frags. And on CT side, they were leaving him alone at A a lot to kind of be able to hold back and delay. And he pushes on A to give them time to rotate and try and clutch out rounds. But he proved himself more than up to the task. I think he dropped 21 in the game in total. But he just played so very well in this game. Really happy to see that from a stand-in. Yeah, he broke 20 frags. He went 22 and 21. Device top fragged for Astralis at 27 and 16. Like, less than 5 kills separating the stand-in and Device, who was the only player on Astralis who actually fragged over Glaive in this game. A lot of good plays by Dignitas as well on their side. Config had a couple of good openings. Rubino had a couple of good kills spotted into a kind of mediocre map for him. And Cajun B, you could tell this guy was prepared to play his old team. He was absolutely on a tear and was a huge reason why they were able to keep this game as close as they did. Obviously a 16-12 finish, going 8-7 for Astralis on their T side in the first half, and then 8-5 on their CT side in the second half, on a map that is usually generally considered, at least as far as I remember, mainly CT sided. So maybe not the strongest CT for Dignitas on Overpass for them in this game, but the fact that they kept it close, the fact that they were in that match right up towards the end, huge for them in my opinion, and a well played game. So getting on to the other match of Group A, that included not only our team of the group for the day, CLG, as you guys can see on the screen, but also Gambit Gaming. Like I said, this one went to Dust 2 and was a final score of 16-13 for Gambit, so CLG did lose. But I think there are a lot of people, myself included, I will admit to this, there were a lot of people, myself included, who, with the recent trade with Liquid, getting Kusta back for CLG and sending off JDM to Liquid, I felt that this was going to be a much weaker CLG team coming into this major, and I felt that despite their legend status, this was a team that was probably going to struggle. So I gave them basically no chance in this match. I was basically writing them off before the tournament even started yesterday, and game day comes along, and you know what? Maybe that's the map bans almost working in their favor, getting a very simple map to play in Dust 2. But Kusta, the new addition, the guy that they got in the trade back for JDM, he had a number of really good big kills, including an ace on CT side, that helped them keep it close. Like, he played well, had a number of important picks, but the big bulldozer for counter logic in this game was Hazed. And when you see a guy play like Hazed does today, it's so hard to believe that these guys lost this match. He was absolutely on a tear. The only player in the entire map that dropped 30 frags. He went 30 and 19. The next two highest actually were both on Gambit Gaming. Adrian had 25 and went 25 and 19, and Spaze went 24 and 20. Like, nobody. The only other person on Counter Logic that dropped more than 20 frags was Peta at 21. Like, that's almost a 10 kill difference between Hazed all the way up here at 30, and like Cutler was at the bottom at 12 and 19. But still, a much better played game from Counter Logic than I think a lot of people would have expected them, considering change of Kusta, the loss of the Star Opera and JDM, just kind of really not knowing for sure exactly what was going to be shown by this team here at the Major. To see them come out looking actually pretty decent in this first match. Definitely a lot of good things for them to build on. And we'll see if they can avoid elimination against Dignitas in tomorrow's loser bracket in the A division. So that is going to do it for the A division. There's not really a whole lot more I wanted to say about that. Like, I just wanted to talk about how a lot of people were probably writing CLG off, and it was surprising to see them put up such a good performance in this first match, despite what I think a lot of people were thinking about them. So, moving on to the second division, Group B, that includes Navi and NIP as our returning legend status teams, and then we had the Optic Gaming and Flipside as our challengers. Now, of course, Flipside at the last major was actually in the same group as NIP back then as well. I know Mouse was in that division as well. I don't remember who the other Legends team was back in Columbus. And of course, Optic Gaming, this being their first major. As far as team of this division for day one, I really feel like I got to give it to Navi. I mean, NIP, yes, they did have a little bit of a more spread out score. They won by more. Navi won their match 16-7, whereas NIP won theirs against Optic 16-4. But you look at the map bans, Navi and Flipside, they end up on Train. That's a good map for Navi. That's a decent map for Flipside. And we actually ended up getting a decent match out of it. It looked pretty bleak in the first half. Navi just basically controlled the entire pace most of the game. Came out of it with a 13-2 half. But then Flipside, they won Pistol second round, and they kind of pushed back a little bit. They weren't able to make the full comeback. Obviously, the difference in skill levels here, the difference in preparation, and strat calling, it was just too much for them to overcome. But overall, I think this was probably the more complete of the two Group B games. And to see Navi be able to come out of that with such a huge round lead, 9-round difference. And you even look at the teams, like Navi won, and the thought used to be that if Navi was going to win, Guardian had to be on his game, boom, 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 op kills everywhere. But I'm looking at the frag list here from the map for that game. Guardian's got 21 frags. Bottom of the list is Edward at 18. Like, everybody contributed in this game. Everybody had their moments where they shone, and it was just a complete game from everybody on Navi. So that's why they're my team of Group B for day one, beating Flipside Tactics. Game number 2 of Group B was NIP versus Optic Gaming, and for me personally, I found this game very disappointing. First off, because Optic Gaming lost. I was really hoping to see them do a little bit better, but unfortunately, with the map vetoes, you end up with Dust 2 for the map. Something that, yeah, okay, it's a map everybody knows. It's a pretty simple map to do, but it's not something that Optic Gaming has played a lot of. But this is a map that we know NIP can play pretty well. They've played it before. They've beaten good teams on it before. So a map that Optic's uncomfortable on, a map NIP is decent on, like, how else do you really expect that to go? Optic just kind of looked like a deer in the headlights right from the start. And they managed to bring it back a little bit, pick up 4 rounds. But they just, except for in short bursts, they never really seemed to get anything going their way. And when they did, they couldn't sustain it. Like, I would have really liked to have seen this on like a Mirage, or what was the other map that was available? Oh god, the other map available was Nuke. Everything else was banned. Like, I would have loved to have seen this on like a Mirage or an Overpass. I think that would have been a very even game. I think that would have played well to both teams. But unfortunately, we end up with Dust 2. We end up with an Optic Gaming that's on a map they're not very comfortable with, and it ends up becoming a little bit of a runaway. So again, and that's why despite the round difference being a little bit higher for NIP in their win, they're not my team of Group B for day one. It's just because I think they were almost kind of handed this one on the vetoes. I was able to watch a little bit of this game. By this time I was at work, so I wasn't able to see the full thing. But what I did see, and what I did hear while I wasn't able to actually watch it, because I did have Twitch going audio only, it just didn't really seem like Optic was in a good mood to be playing this map. So, looking in on Group C, which includes Liquid, Envious, Virtus Pro, and Mouse. Obviously, Liquid and VP being our returning legends, and Envious and Mouse being our new challengers. Well, not new challengers. Both of them were at the last major. Envious being the last 2 majors, at least. But that was the team's statuses going into day 1. So first off, talk about my team for Group C for day 1, and that is Liquid. Go over this as I go in their game, which is going to be the first one I go over, which was against Envious on Train. Now this is a map that it's interesting to see. It was interesting to see going in how well Liquid was going to be able to do on Train, because Train is not necessarily one of the easier maps in the map pool right now, and especially with a team that's probably not really been playing together as this group of 5 for too long. To see them be able to come in and almost, I don't want to say dominate because it wasn't really domination at any point, but to basically handle a team like Envious that has had its stumbles this year, but in the last about month and a half leading up to the major, especially at the qualifier about a month ago, a little bit less, was really starting to rebound. They basically went from winning not the last major but the major before, being so high, to basically hitting rock bottom, going out 0-2 in the last major. And they started to pick themselves up, but unfortunately, fortunately that should have set up for a really good match here, but Liquid, just a little bit too strong. Incredible ace by, I believe it was Liege on CT side, I think it was. Might be wrong about that. I think it was CT side. But I know he did have a clutch that ended up being a really huge important round. JDM, number of early picks with the op. I'm looking at the frag list again, and Nitro's a little bit low, Simple's a little bit low. But you look at Elise, JDM, and Hiko, like they're all in the 20 area. Like they all went out there and they just did work. And you expect it from Hiko, you expect it from JDM, but to see Elise step up and reach the 20 frag mark to frag up there, the likes of JDM and Hiko, and absolutely outfrag all of Envious. The highest fragger on Envious was Kenny S at 19 and 18, with Happy being right behind him at 17 and 16. It was absolutely huge that Elise stepped up, played so well in this game. Number of important kills, again, I mentioned the ace round. This was a team that, despite the fact that they've only probably been playing together as a 5-some for about a month and a half, maybe, unlikely more than that, to see them come in, especially with a moving piece like Simple and a new piece like JDM, really happy to see these guys play as well. They're basically picking up where they left off last major, playing strong. Like they basically forgot all the choking that they did in stuff like E-League shortly after leaving the major, shortly after that debacle basically against Luminosity Gaming. Definitely looking forward to seeing these guys tomorrow into the playoffs. Like I think honestly right now, if I were to pick a team that probably has the best chance of winning their division right now, I would say it's probably Liquid, because I mean you look at the matches that are going to be tomorrow. I'll talk about them a little bit more in depth. A little bit later. But you got Astralis versus Gambit, you got Navi versus NIP, you got Liquid versus Virtus.pro, and then you got SK versus. Not gonna spoil that just yet, cause bit of a shocker. Definitely puts a smile on my face. But I think out of those 4 matches, I think the one with the most likely chance to move on, well, could be SK. But other than that, I would definitely say it has to be Liquid, because they're going up against a Virtus.pro team that is very good on lands, that has a good history and is proven to step up on majors, but looked a little bit shaky today in their game against Mouse. Talk about that a little bit more in a second. So I honestly think it's a good opportunity for Liquid if they play well again tomorrow, come in, get a map off of Virtus.pro, and they're gone. Like you look at Astralis Gambit, Astralis should win that, but there's definitely good upset potential for Gambit. You look at Navi and Nip, that's a match that could go either way, especially since both teams have their full and proper rosters. So, anyways, other match of Group C, which was Virtus.pro versus Mousesports. And you might be noticing a theme here, but we ended up on train again. I think there was like 3 or 4 trains today, which I'm actually really happy about, because the team I'm playing for right now, we're not very good on trains, so I'm gonna have them look at these demos. So. So again, we have Virtus.pro versus Mousesports on train, and as soon as the vetoes come out, as soon as the picks come out, I'm thinking Virtus.pro on land, train is the map, bye-bye Mousesports. I know Mousesports has had a couple of good games on train the last little while. They're not a slouch on train either, but this is the Virtus plow on land, offline, on maybe not necessarily their best map, but probably most certainly one of their most signature maps. Even if it is a little bit different from when they were really good on it. So I'm looking at this matchup and I'm thinking, this could be VP versus G2 last major, where they came in first day, got trained, and I think the score was like 16-1, 16-2. Like, I legitimately thought that this would be a runaway. But Mousesports actually came out very strong, definitely took the pressure to Virtus Pro early, and had a very big lead in the early part of the game. Now, Virtus Pro, once they got a little bit of momentum, really started taking over, managed to bring back the first half, very close, and then once they got over to their T side, they took it away. They really just kind of said, okay, Mouse, we let you have your fun. It's our game now. But for the first half, very close game. Very nice to see Mousesports put forth as big a performance as they did, even if they couldn't carry it all the way through the map. But to hang on and come out as strong as they did, you know what? I thought this was a really good game. Nico, as you know, he's going to be near the top of the leaderboard for Mousesports. Was actually out-fragged by Chris J in this game a little bit. Chris J at 20 and 21, Nico at 18 and 21. But still very close. And actually, you look at the rest of the Mousesports lineup. Speedy was at 15, Next was at 13, Next was at 12. Like, the other guys aren't far behind. It definitely looked, especially in the early part, like Mousesports came ready to play this map. But just VP's skill, experience, just a little bit too much for them in the end. Huge game by Snacks. He seemed to be on an absolute tear. Pasha with a couple of, not a huge amount of kills, but definitely a good number of impact kills. Seemed a little bit out of sorts at times, but was able to pull it back pretty nicely. So, again, happy to see Virtus Pro moving to the winner's bracket. Not sure about their chances tomorrow against Liquid, but we'll talk about that in a little bit. So, we are going to move on to now the group of absolute death now. Group D, SK, G2, Fnatic, and FaZe. And if you don't already know the results, be prepared to be shocked because, whew, I had so much fun watching these games. I didn't get to watch all of them. Mainly listened to the SK G2 game. Mainly listened to Fnatic FaZe, but did manage to watch the last 5 to 10 rounds or so. Was really happy to get to see the end of that. Talking about the first game, SK versus G2. This ended up on Cobble, with G2 starting on T side. And it was a little bit of a back and forth half. If I remember correctly, SK kind of opened up early, picked up pistol, picked up the first couple rounds. G2 pushed back, and they carried most of the momentum through the end of the first half. But SK did definitely pick up enough rounds still on their CT side here and there to break up that momentum at good points to keep them from keep G2 from running away with the first half, allowing the game to stay close. And that would prove very well, because if G2 is able to run away with that first half after picking up first gun round in the fourth round, if it had taken SK too long to start getting a couple rounds back, this could have been a very interesting match that could have gone to overtime or maybe even gone the other way. But once SK got into the slightly favored side of T side on Cobble, just seemed like they were a little bit smarter about their executes. Again, I kind of have to go off of what I'm hearing as I'm listening to the broadcast, because unfortunately I can't actually watch the Twitch at the time, because I am working. So I'm basically kind of got it playing off my phone on Twitch, audio only, so I can hear it while I'm working. And sometimes casters might be leaving stuff out that would kind of indicate a little bit more what guys are doing. But it just really seemed like SK was just on T side making good advantage of their angles and their peaks on T side, and making sure that they weren't missing their first shots. They were coming in, that as soon as they were seeing guys, it was quick kills. They weren't giving G2 a chance to out-aim them, to out-skill them on this map. Coldzera mainly handled the up, if I remember correctly, for SK on this map, and did an outstanding job with it. Number of high impact kills, a couple of good clutch rounds. But this is basically the SK Gaming that we should be expecting. Like this is the way Luminosity was playing at the last major. Like they wanted to be lights out. Like they just wanted to come in and just tear everybody down. And they definitely were doing that on their T side on this map. And even though it was a 16-11 scoreboard, could have been a lot closer, could have been a lot farther apart. There was a lot of interest in this because G2, huge resurgence since bowing out at the last major very early, whereas SK won the major, was on top of the world for like a month and a half afterwards, but they kind of stumbled a little bit in the last month or so, losing 2-0 to G2 in the ECS Season 1 Finals just last weekend. So there was a lot of questions about what version of these two teams would show up for this match, for this major. And I think we had the right versions of both teams show up. We had a G2 esports team that was playing well, that was fragging well, but we just had an SK Gaming that was just making shots and just playing on top of their game. And I honestly think that these two teams right now, with the way these two teams are playing, these are the top two teams in this tournament. It's like I said basically yesterday. I honestly think the winner of this tournament is going to come out of this division. Could be SK, could be G2, could be FaZe, could be Fnatic, could be anybody in here. Anybody else, yeah, maybe has got the talent. NIP, Navi, Stralis, they have the talent, but they've all got something. NIP's had their ups and downs last year. Stralis never seems to be able to make it past the semifinal. Navi never seems to be able to win a grand final. So here you've got two teams. G2 just won a championship at ECS. SK just won the last major. So Fnatic's been on top of the world for so long. And FaZe has got a good lineup as well. So honestly, I'm really looking forward to seeing what happens the rest of this division all the way through the rest of the tournament. Oh, I forgot to talk about my team of the group. I forgot to put that up, so I apologize for that a little bit. Didn't mean to leave Liquid up there so long, but I'm going to show you who is my team of Group D for day one. And it might surprise you a little bit until you hear what they did, if you don't already know. My team of the group for day one, Group D, the group of absolute death at Cologne, is FaZe Game. FaZe Clan pulling off a huge, FaZe Clan pulling off a huge, and I know a lot of people will still consider this an upset, against Fnatic. Now, ended up being very close at the end, 16-14 scoreboard, took all 30 rounds, almost took more, but probably shouldn't have even taken 30. I think FaZe was up like 15-10 or 11 at one point, and they kind of just let Fnatic creep back in until they finally won the final round. But we end up on Dust 2 here between these two teams. Maybe a little bit of a neutral map for these teams for the most part. Definitely a map that's been considered good for Fnatic in the past. Maybe not so much now. Last little while. It was the map they were playing on last major. I think it was the decider in their game against Astralis in the quarterfinals that they got bounced on. It sounded, unfortunately, I really feel like I want to watch a replay of this, but it sounded over Twitch like an absolutely fantastic game. A lot of good plays by both sides. A lot of good holds on sites, a lot of good entries, a lot of good spectacular clutch moments by a lot of people on both sides, including AZ, including Rain, including Fox, including Flash, including Olafmeister. Like, it just seemed like most of these guys were in here to play. A couple guys maybe had a couple of off games. Someone like JW, Dennis some rounds. But for the most part, it seemed like both of these teams had come ready to play in this, and to see FaZe Clan be able to hold off and beat Fnatic here like, it's still definitely a huge upset in anybody's mind. I don't think anybody could have honestly come into saying FaZe Clan is definitely the overdogs here, that Fnatic is the underdogs for any reason, even though they themselves said that they didn't feel like they had the greatest performance last week at the ECS season finals. This is still a team that has the skill to be one of the best teams in the world. That's still highly regarded as being up there, like top 1, top 2, top 3. So this is definitely should be in everybody's mind an upset. And this is kind of what I mean by, like, any team in this division could win this major. All these teams can play against top level talent because they have top level talent. And for Fnatic to now be in the losing bracket, for FaZe Clan having forced Fnatic to be playing a best of 1 against G2, who's been so high up, who beat Fnatic 2-0 in the ECS season finals last week as well, in the semifinals before going on to beat Luminosity in the finals. Like, this could be a Fnatic that's out before the groups even end. Like, can you believe that? Fnatic having to actually qualify for a major. When was the last time that they actually had to do that? Has to have been a while. So, big win by FaZe. A lot of big performances by a lot of their guys, including Jacob, especially AZ. But it's just another story like we talked about with Navi about everybody contributing. Everybody had over 20 frags on FaZe. Fox had 20, Rain had 20, Keo had 20, Jacob had 22, AZ had 23. Everybody contributed in this game. And when you are considered an underdog team like that, usually it takes someone being a superstar and the rest of the guys contributing in order to get it done. Here, they didn't even need the real superstar performance. They just said, okay, everybody, do your roles, get some kills, we'll get the job done. And they did. So, definitely looking forward to seeing what they do against SK tomorrow. And how the rest of this division, because, like, I was a little bit shocked by SK beating G2, but even though I knew it was possible. Group D's just got me stunned. Let's just put it that way. Group D's got me absolutely stunned. So that sets up our matches for tomorrow. Now, unfortunately, ESL is doing a little bit differently than MLG did back in Columbus. I actually kind of like the Columbus version better, where on day 2 they had all the loser bracket matches first and then all the winner matches second. I really like that format. But here, they're just continuing to go by group. First game of the day will be Astralis versus Gambit, the second one being Dignitas versus CLG. They're going winners and losers. So, we talk about Group A. Winners match, that should be an Astralis map, but depending upon, that should be an Astralis win, but depending upon the map picked, Gambit is definitely no slouch of a team, especially considering Astralis is maybe not a little bit weaker because of a stand-in. Definitely an opportunity for Gambit to push a legend team and a very good team and try and make playoffs right out of groups 2-0. Day 2, be the first team into the playoff rounds on day 4. Follow-up match to that being Dignitas CLG. I really think this is a question about who is best able to continue their performance from today. I think both teams played well today, both Dignitas and CLG. I think they both had really good performances, especially CLG played a lot better than I thought they would. For me, the winner of this match, it's going to come down to the map. What side does the map favor a little bit? And then which team is best able to carry on that good performance that they had today. If CLG stumbles, Dignitas will definitely be able to pick up the win. Dignitas stumbles, CLG should definitely be able to pick up the win. So it's just going to come down to, after maybe a little bit of a disappointing result for both of these teams in day 1, in games that both of these teams could have won, which one is able to regroup better and come in prepared and ready to go for day 2. Group B, obviously match 1, NIP versus Navi. Um, like, what do you really say about this? Like, this could honestly, you look at the skill of these teams, this could be a grand final. This could be a preview. Like, that's how good both of these teams are. Either of these teams could be in the grand final, or they could both be in there. Honestly, it's a very tough match to call. Both teams played very well today. Maybe Navi pushed a little bit harder than Nip was, so we'll see which one is able to pick up. Obviously, these two teams have fair bit of history between one another. Navi bounced Nip out at the last major championship, so maybe that gives Navi a little bit of a mental edge against Nip. You know, we kind of got rid of you last tournament. Now we're going to be looking to try and see if we can send you packing early again this one. We'll see how well they do. The loser side of the B bracket, we have Optic and Flipside. Decent showing for Flipside today. A little bit of a disappointing one for Optic. I really expect to see the Optic side regroup after a very disappointing performance and come in tomorrow looking to basically get revenge. They can't do it against Nip yet. They need to win this game. They need Navi to win the game before if they want to try and get a little bit of revenge on NIP. But first step to that is being able to get past Flipside, and I think they will come to the game tomorrow ready to go. And it'll probably still be a close match, but I think Optic's going to have a little bit of a chip on their shoulder after today's game, and they will bring it down tomorrow. So winners bracket Group C, we have Virtus Pro and Liquid. Almost a coin flip. I think there's a little bit of an advantage Liquid in this matchup. How strong they've been playing, despite the fact that they're using a new player that they've only had for like a month, and basically a sub-in and a former team member in Simple. They've come in, they've played well since putting together this 5. We'll see how long that lasts. We'll see how deep they are as this tournament goes on. VP, known performer on lands in majors. A little bit of struggles today. If they can kind of pick it up for tomorrow, there's a chance that this could be a very good, very close match. But I think I definitely got to give a nod to Liquid in that one. Losers bracket, Envious Mouse. Like I said, when talking about Liquid Envious has been on a little bit of an upswing as of late, but a little bit of a disappointing performance from them today. And Mouse with a surprisingly nice performance in the first half of their game against Virtus Pro. That one to me is definitely a 50-50 matchup, especially if you have everybody on Mouse kind of performing at the same level like they did today, because in that matchup it was everybody playing the same on an elevated level rather than, say, their usual top fraggers and star players like Nico and Chris J kind of downgrading themselves to the rest of the team's level. Group D, we've got SK versus FaZe. 9 times out of 10, that should definitely favor SK. Just a little bit of a better lineup, a little bit of a deeper map pool. That should favor SK, but we just saw FaZe beat Fnatic. We know these guys have a good roster. Definitely, they could pull off another upset 2 days in a row. It's definitely possible. I don't think it's likely, but it is possible. And then G2 Fnatic. Another coin flip, in my opinion. 2 very good teams. Gotta feel like G2's maybe got a little bit more of a chip on their shoulder. Played so well last weekend. Comes into here, kind of lays a bit of an eggshell against SK, getting cracked pretty easily. It's a question, for me, it's a question of where Fnatic's head's at, and what kind of a strategy and mindset they're going to bring to tomorrow's game. I don't know if they will be able to beat the French. So that's basically my opinion on tomorrow's games. Kind of feel like my game of the day today was probably either FaZe Fnatic or Astralis Dignitas. 2 very good, 2 very close matches. Lots of love in both those games. giving my opinion on tomorrow's games, and hopefully, hope you guys enjoyed the video, because I love doing these. But anyways, that is going to do it for me for today. I talked about today's games, I talked about tomorrow's games, and hopefully we will see some good ones tomorrow as well. I am definitely looking forward to it. I will be up again nice and early, because pretty much every day except for Friday they start early. Every day they start 5 a.m. or 4 a.m. for me, so not fun. But I will be up, I will be watching, and I will see you guys next time. If you guys enjoyed today's video, be sure to leave a like in the comment section down below. Tell me what your favorite game of the day was today if you like, and if you want to see more videos like this, make sure you check out the channel, make sure you hit that subscribe button, because videos like this will hopefully be going up a lot in the future. Anyways, you guys know me on YouTube, SlapHappyGreen, and I will see you guys in the next video. For now, I'm out!